this concept of human potential, one of the things that we know, and it's really funny because Dr. William Glasser coined this concept that my grandmother also had, and I'm not sure how he's making millions off of this, because my grandmother had the very same idea and mantra. And what Dr. William Glasser, well, I'll tell you what my grandmother said. My grandmother said, the only thing you run are your shoes. What Dr. William Glasser said is that the only thing that we can give someone is information, and outside of that giving them information, we can't make anyone do anything. And so what we start to understand is through Dr. William Glasser's choice theory is that people consistently make choices to do or not to do. One of the biggest lies that is kind of crept into our human psyche, particularly here in the Western world, is this concept of procrastination. People will say, I didn't do this or I didn't accomplish that task because I procrastinated. That is a lie. There is no such thing as procrastination. Procrastination is a smokescreen for something else, which is that someone made a choice not to do the thing that they originally set out to do or that they have responsibility for. And so when we talk about human motivation, we have to understand that people only do what they want to do. However, as leaders, as guides, as responsible folks in our communities or in our workplaces, we have to understand that in order to catch fish, we have to give fish what it is that they desire. If I took a Doritos bag and I put it on the end of the hook, I might not get a big mouth bass. I may not get a sturgeon. I may get a catfish, but I won't get the kind of goals that I'm setting out to get. And so one of the things we have to remember is that when we create an environment that doesn't allow or doesn't attract people to give their very best, that we are actually not only harming ourselves, but we're harming our organization. And so we have to encourage people and in some ways give them what they want. And what is it that people want? They want significance, they want safety, and they want belonging. We'll talk more about that throughout the course, and that'll be a reoccurring thing. You'll hear me keep coming back to that, because if we're stifling people's ability to get what it is that they want, that significance, that safety, and that belonging, then again, we're not helping our organizations. We're actually becoming a stone around the organization's throat. And what that also leads to is a decrease in something that I refer to as discretionary effort. Now, if you think about your own budget, there are certainly dollars that you have allocated for things like maybe your mortgage payment or car payment or your cabin home. These are things that you have allocated resources for. And then there are those things or those extra monies that don't necessarily have an allocation. And those things we would call our discretionary funds, which means at this point I can use those funds however I want because they are not designated for any particular thing, and it is up to me when and how they get used. And so when we talk about human motivation, it's extremely important that we realize that people's discretionary effort is, it encourages them to complete tasks. We can't make anyone complete a task. We can sign a contract, I can agree to pay someone, and they can still not do it. And so one of the things we have to understand is this concept of discretionary effort. And discretionary effort simply is the amount of effort, the quality of effort, the way, the attitude in which I complete a task that is given to me. And that is up to my discretion. For example, if I sign a contract to do a job, and I can do that job at 70%, or I can do it at 100%. And that 70% and that 100% is up to my discretion. Now, if I consistently do it at 70%, I may be in danger of breaching our contract, but at least I'm doing it, right? So I'm fulfilling the contract, but at its minimum. And so to get the maximum out of folks, we want to increase their discretionary effort. And so we'll talk about that concept as well. The importance of encouraging discretionary effort and how you increase that. I will say that a hostile work environment, that sexual harassment, that bigoted thinking, that prejudicial behavior, and ultimately discrimination decreases people's discretionary effort. It decreases their inclination to give their 100% best. And so our organizations, our clients, the people that we work with deserve to get the 100% best that all of our employees have to offer. And so if we're in the way of that, then we need to be analyzing ourselves. And so it's important that we increase people's discretionary effort, that we remind folks that they only do what they want to do. There is no such thing as procrastination. And lastly, that we analyze our own behavior to see if we're increasing people's discretionary effort, or in fact our behavior could be a blockage or a stoppage to their access or their willingness to give 100% of themselves and to be their very best selves.